welcome to the Things I See podcast. This is just going to be a half episode this week. I'm just going to do a bit of chit chat, a little bit of rambling, and I hope you guys enjoy. So for this fun little half episode, I'm just gonna talk a bit about what this past holiday season was like. I hope all of you had a wonderful holiday season. I skipped a podcast episode. I'm sure nobody minded. I'm sure we were all busy doing whatever we're doing for the holidays. This was a pretty unique holiday for me. My mother recently passed, and this was the first holiday to kind of explore a bit. Honestly, it was a great holiday. It was not really filled with missing, but a lot more filled with just a sense of, freedom. I had to see a lot less family. Not had to, but got to. It felt like a lot of it was free. It was a very freeing holiday season, and I made sure to make it that way. I held to it that there would be no required stress. Right? I'm not holding myself or indebting myself to other people or their needs or the demand of the holidays. And I still feel like, honestly, I feel like I was more on top of the holidays than I've ever been, not stressing about it, not trying to manage or organize it. Don't get me wrong, I'm still getting gifts to people way after it, but I'm letting myself. And I'm making really cool gifts that I'm really enjoying making. And it's not just art for art's sake. It's allowed me to put a bit more of that love into it. And that's going to segue a bit into what I really wanted to talk about. I have been freeing myself from a lot of my own expectations, and it has been a journey. These are expectations I thought I already got rid of. And it all has to do with that one thing called imposter syndrome. And I've dealt with it my whole life. But I was so convinced I dealt with it that it was not a thing. But I've been corrected recently, not just by my own self. Someone called me out on it in a not call out way. They just brought it up. And I was like, shoot, you're kind of right. Everyone has imposter syndrome. If you have a goal, if you create something, you're going to have imposter syndrome. And it's not about removing it. It's about doing it anyways. Doing creation regardless of the imposter syndrome. And that's the beauty of it all. It doesn't have to be perfection for it to be expectation of the self. And we're not shooting for perfection, we're shooting for excellence, and even excellence can kind of have that trail of imposter syndrome kind of just lingering along of, am I ready to be excellent? Am I ready to be perfect? Is it going to be perfect? And it will never be perfect. And I put it as this: you're not going to be successful and then do the thing. You're not going to make it and then do the things. You're going to do the things, and that's how you're going to make it. And I've been kind of developing the way of finding that consistent peace with this, where I love my imposter syndrome because of what it allows me to push through rather than what is it keeping me from, right? How can I use it to help myself keep propelling forward? And it all comes from one simple rule of detachment, and it goes as this: you are not your creation, you are the creator. There's almost a sense of reflection in what we create, but it's good to live by the understanding the creation already exists, we are just facilitating it, and we cannot facilitate it perfectly the first time. That's not how it cultivates, that's not how it blossoms, that's not how it creates itself. We facilitate what is already created, and it's not going to be perfect. It might not even be close to excellent, and that is where we want to be. That's exactly it. To be able to look at that and do it fucking anyways. And I was holding myself back from doing so much. And when you think you took care of the problem, you're not going to look at that as the problem. So I was just hammering away at myself, like, why is this so difficult? And of course the answer is I was making it difficult. And I knew that, but to realize the deeper reason was just that still expectation of myself. Especially when there is some background beliefs tying into it. I did social media for years and years and years, specifically for dance and just making content. And I just kept hitting this wall with it. And everything is a mirror. I was throwing myself at the wall, trying to get a different result. And there was this sense of almost disappointment, almost sense of loss I was still going through. I was still mourning the death of all of this content I created, and it was hard to want to start content again through that mourning. I was grieving something else entirely. But at some point I could tell I was done grieving, and I still wasn't getting that spark, that go, that making content, that willingness to just put it out there. Even if it's not perfect, even if I didn't do my makeup, even if the lighting isn't flawless. I just kept hesitating. I kept thinking about, what's going to get people's attention? What's the right way to do it? There's not a right way to do it. And I was so convinced that there was a right way to do it, and that's that perfection. It's the questioning the divine timing by disrupting it. You break the divine timing as soon as you consider if it's divine or not, or if it's there or not. It's that being in the right time at the right place, but switching it to creating the right things at the right time. And this is the announcement. I'm finally on that role of wanting to do social media, craving it even. I feel like ideas aren't just popping up left and right so I can write them down and consider doing them or planning them. It's like I have the idea and now I just need to not shut up about it. I need to just talk and keep going and keep going. One of these beautiful series I'm going to start creating, I was going to do it tonight. I'm starting tomorrow because, again, I'm not shooting for perfection. If I'm tired, I can wait until the timing makes itself right. But the series is going to be cultivating self-love. I have found such an incredible self-love in myself. And I'm just going to start sharing what I do to do it. Because it's a daily thing. It's a daily pursuit of romanticizing my own life. Not just to do it, but because I genuinely am in love with my life, what I do with it, and who I am, and what I'm becoming through it. And I'm excited to start sharing it. And it's gonna help guide me to sharing more. Because there's no way to tell people how to cultivate love. There's just talking about how I've learned to cultivate love. And there's thousands of ways I've started to cultivate love. And this series could go on for thousands of posts. And I'm just going to do it at least once a day. Just doesn't matter how I look. Doesn't matter how I feel. I'm just going to do it. And that's the beauty of it. I'm going to catch myself in these moments where it's not perfect. People don't want your perfection because they see that you're trying, and they don't like when you're trying. They like when you're doing. And with that imposter syndrome, that perfection, that management, that control, again, we are not our creation, we are just the creator. If we don't let go of our creation, it will forever be manipulated to be something it isn't, that we don't know it's supposed to be. And when we can detach from our baby, our creation, this thing we love, and really just step into only being the creator, it it just means it can thrive. It can do whatever it pleases. That creation will go as far as it needs to go, or as not far as it needs to go. And to trust that process, to love that, is part of what I'm cultivating. The love of being the creator, not the love of what I've created. Because I'm obsessed with my own art. It's part of that self-love. It's part of that self-obsession. It's part of that creativity. So to be both obsessed with the creation and detached from it at the same time is the ultimate goal, the ultimate challenge, the ultimate way to live. Living isn't the creation. Living is creating. And I've learned more about creation just in this past few months of my life than I have my entire life. I've been drawing my whole life. I've been doing design for most of it. I started dancing 7-ish years ago. All I've done is create, and it feels like the entire time I had no idea what creation was. And especially when I was younger, when I really didn't get it, that's when it was special, the most special, when I had no clue. Then I started kind of formulating ideas based on what I was creating, trying to manipulate, handle, control, weave, do all these things. It also brings up an excellent thing I discovered recently. I've been trying to kind of unlock light language in a way. Not unlock, it's in me. It's a part of me. It's part of who I am, how I can express. But there was such a block. I found my dance to be so literate, almost like a language. It's something that can be spoken, and it felt so hard to break out of that until I started trying to create everything but the creation. I started putting my creation towards everything but what I wanted to create. As in, filling in the spaces I'm not filling. I had such a vision for what I was creating, it almost put a wall between me and the process of creation. To have a vision, this expectation, and I used to be so much better at letting go of it a bit, but when you develop so much literacy, you start thinking in boxes. How do I let go of that something that is only in boxes? And the simple answer is to do everything but the box. Do everything but the language. And it's funny because it just started happening. The pure act of creating experiences of light language came from just not trying to make the creation, but just creating. And it comes with having to know whatever you just created might not even be yours. It's the creation, and you created it because you're the creator, but what you're saying isn't yours to say. It is just you facilitating what's being said. And it's such a fine-tunedness of, well, detachment, while also loving what you're doing in it's attaching without attaching, or attaching to detach, or both at the same time. And it seems paradoxical. You can just do both. That's something I love about paradoxes. We can say it's a logic loop, but that's because there's a black and a white, especially with language, right? The answer is there is no answer, so there is an answer and it's no answer, and we can just keep following that loop, or we can just hold it there. It isn't a black and white concept. It is just a thing. It is a nuanced thing. It is something that can be expressed in multiple different ways, and it is a type of expression to have a paradox. You can just be both. We live in dual states at every time. We live in the physical and the energetic at the same time. They aren't separate. I know that some people think that in some way the physical converts to energy, or energy converts to physical, but they are overlaid on the same not always the same position, but generally so. You know, if there's a physical object, there's an energetic object, and it's like a twin. It's a duplicate. It is also there. They are both there. And that's the beautiful thing about it. There's this creative energy, and there's us physically creating it, but the energy already exists. That means the physical creation already exists. We are just facilitating that creation into existence. And this also follows the rule. None of the information in this world is ours. It is all information that has already existed. We are just translating it into the physical world. Everything has already been created. Everything has already been done. We are the facilitators. We are the workers. We are the conduits. We are the people that bring the energy into the physical realm. And as soon as it's physical, it has always been energetic, and vice versa. The truth of all of this, of all of these ramblings I have for you, is to not be your creation. Be the creator. I have fully shed a version of myself that was so consumed by my own creation, with everything, but with dance especially. And I stopped making dance videos as my old self. I thought I was done. I'm not done. I'm just done being my creation. I'm done trying to mold my creation through myself. I'm ready to actually be a creator. People didn't like my dance as much as they could have. It didn't pop off. It didn't go where I wanted it to go because I didn't let it. I would refuse to let it because that creation was mine. And it's not mine anymore. I'm giving it away. It's all free. I'm just the creator, and I'm not going to stop creating. There was a point in time it would tire me to create because I was so tied to my creation. It was exhausting trying to have an expectation behind the creation. But creativity is pure, raw energy, life force, just surging through my body for free. And the way to get that free energy is to give it for free. Create for free. It's free for you if it's free for the world. And that's what it is. You gotta be willing to endlessly create. Each masterpiece you make is not you, and it is not yours. It is a masterpiece for the world, and you can just make another. And if that one doesn't do well, that's okay, because it's not you. And you are the creator with that free, unconditional, unlimited energy. And you can just make another masterpiece. And that's the beauty of it all. Every day I get to create another masterpiece. And I was so busy holding on to these other masterpieces I made that I wanted to do well because I liked them, that I didn't realize it wasn't because I liked them. It's because I was attached to how I liked them and how I wanted others to like them. I am now free. It is no longer about how I like it, because I know how I like it. I'm not trying to prove to anyone how I like it. No one else needs to like it how I like it, and I'm going to keep creating it no matter what. I'm going to let people hate it, and I'm going to let people love it. And it's crazy. I had so much love for everything I did, and it was so hard for me to see how much people loved what I did. And this isn't in contrast to the negative. It's just when it was purely positive, I wouldn't get it. But I wouldn't let people hate it. And I also would hold myself to a standard of why people would love it. You know, if they didn't love it how I loved it, did they love it? Well, yeah. And I just wasn't letting them. through my own view. They loved it. Now I know they love it, and I'm going to keep letting them love it. I'm going to keep creating. I'm never going to stop. Each and every day. No matter how I look, no matter how I feel, no matter what time or how I'm doing it. It's time to create, and I'm here to be the creator. I hope everyone listening can understand the value of what it means to be the creator. When you are your creation, you are bound to something that is not you. When you are the creator, you realize this world is yours, and you can create anything however you want to. Be the unstoppable force that proves there are no immovable objects. I say these things with light, with love, and with clarity. Thank you so much for watching. There will be an episode later this week. Please follow my Instagram if you are interested in being up to date on the new social posts and amazing series I'll be starting. I'm excited to share creation with all of you. Blessings.